Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio.
Welcome to First Contact Radio.
To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. I'm glad you could be here today. It is the 29th of May. Right here. So what we see is our moon sign is in Gemini. We know that our sun sign is in Gemini. So Gemini is all about communication. Gemini is an air sign. When you think of air sign, you think of words, actions, how we communicate, how we relate to others. In the tarot cards, air is represented by swords. And if you take the letter S from swords away, you got words. So air is all about words and the actions. We also see here that this little symbol here, that little character is Mercury. Mercury went into Cancer. Cancer is an emotional sign. Mercury is all about communication. So we have the sign of communication has gone into an emotional sign, an emotional place where there's feelings, maybe using the feelings to find a way to express ourselves. Okay, for a little bit more insight, I have here the Ephemeris. Thought I'd add this to the mix now. What this is just like this right here, right? Except what it's doing is instead of it putting in a calendar system like this, it is putting it in just a daily chart. As you can see, it lists, the Ephemeris has all year long, and it basically shows where things are. So we go across here and it tells us that we look at the signs up here across the top. So our sun sign on the 29th is at 7 degrees 34 minutes 8 seconds of, and we can find where it is. We look up here and we see Gemini. And our moon sign right here today tells us that we're at Gemini, 10 degrees Gemini. We go over here to Venus, or Mercury, excuse me, and we see that Mercury is also in the sign of Gemini, which is its home sign. Okay, and this is Venus. Venus we could see has been in Aries, and then we go all through here to see where it changes, and tomorrow it's making that change later today, early tomorrow, into Taurus. So basically it's just a good way to go about and get a little bit more insight about what is taking place here, right? So we can look at this and we get more insight as we look at this here. This one here is a PDF that you can download. That way you can keep track of what's going on. This Ephemeris has 9,000 years, long time, many years worth of dates and looking at the planets and the stars, because these are all calculations that are brought out by science to help us understand what's going on. And this is available for anyone who's looking at their charts, how they work, and get more detailed information, okay? Our numerology for today is the number 5. So let me show you how we arrived at the number 5. Right here. We have 5 for the month, 29 for the month, 2014 for the year. So we're going to add all those numbers up together. That's the 5 plus the 2 plus the 9 plus all of those, 2014. And if we break them down, the 29, 2 plus 9 equals 11. So 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 7. That's a 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. And so what we're doing, it's called theosophic subtraction. We're continuing to take these numbers and reduce them down. So as you could see, the 29 right here, 2 plus 9 is 11, or 11 would be a 1 plus a 1, because we're looking to reduce everything. Okay. So what do we know from 5s? We know that 5s are a number, it says energetic, adventurous, daring. They can be unstable, chaotic, self-indulgent. What I like to look at with these numbers and relate them to is where they relate to the tarot cards. Because this card really, the cards really signify a good way to represent what's going on. Here we have Taurus, number 5, the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a spiritual teacher. The Hebrew letter on all of these tarot cards have Hebrew letters assigned to them. This one is Vav. It means nail or hook. It's about hooking together the spirit with the physical. Because we live in these physical bodies, but we are not only these physical bodies. We're something much more than that. Remember, we've got the spirit, which manifests itself as fire, water, and air. And all those manifest themselves down as earth, as form. Ideas, emotions, words, form. It's the fire, ideas, emotion, water, air, words, earth form. All of these things making this. So when we really remember that we want to connect ourselves to spirit, then we're really in connected good. If you think about the saying, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all things shall be given to you, kind of goes along with that line, that when we make that connection spiritually, we're putting ourselves in a very strong position. Now if we jump over here to look at the tree of life for today, what we can see here is that we can find our placements of where things are. So here's our Hierophant, our 5. Remember, the Hierophant goes from wisdom, things that we learn, and it moves down here to mercy. Mercy is humility. So we learn things. We want to be humble about what we learn. We want to understand the significance of what we're learning. And sometimes if we get too big for our britches and we don't have that humility, we really don't learn as much. That's part of the lesson. Okay? We look over here for our sun and moon sign for today, Gemini. Gemini is coming from understanding to beauty. And there's a difference between wisdom and understanding. We can learn something, but we may not understand it. So in order to be able to really take what we learn and make it practical, we need to use our imagination. This is the path of the Empress. And we use our imagination to gain understanding about what it is we just learned. And as we make that connection between what we've learned and then understanding what we've learned, we open up a door. The Hebrew letter on this one here is Daleth. We open up the door to the inner chambers. Right here, the High Priestess. We enter that sacred chamber inside ourselves, where all the wisdom and everything we need is available to us. Okay? So in this case today, we're going from what we learned down here, remaining humble about what we learn. But then at the same time, with the lesson of humility, it's very important with the lessons of humility that we don't let ourselves get run over. We don't let ourselves get taken for granted. Because if you look at the tree here, you're always seeing 3 pillars. One's a pillar of balance, right in the middle. The one on the right is the pillar of mercy. It's the pillar where if you think of the Goldilocks and the 3 bears, too little, too cold. If you go to the other side of the tree right over here, you've got the side that's too hot, severity. And then, of course, you balance them out in the middle with what is just right. Okay? So there's a lot to be said with the stories that we've learned, because they're telling stories about how things in life, walking that middle path. And how many times have we heard about walking that middle path from a variety of philosophies that exist out there? It's very important to find our middle way on that path. Okay? So that's what's going on right there. And again, all of these symbols are simply symbols, ways to interpret the energies around us. We're not supposed to give our power up to any of these, because there's nothing to give our power up to. These are just tools to help us to decipher what the energies are around us, how we use them, and this is a great way to really learn this process. Okay? Current moon phase is a waxing moon. We're making our way up now. Waxing means up. Going from a new moon to a full moon. Yesterday was that new moon. Now we're going on upward to the full moon, and it'll take 2 weeks to get there. Okay. Sky tonight, if we take a look at it, says as twilight turns to darkness, Mars shines brightly fire-colored in the south. Look below it for the 4-star pattern of Corvus, the crow. Okay. This is what we'll be seeing once we get to tomorrow. Doesn't have the graphic for today. You know, when you look up in the sky, I always find this really helpful for myself as well. That's why I bring this information up here. When you look up into the sky, when I look up in the sky, I can always pick out Mars because it has that reddish glow. You know, you can see that there's something about it that's a little different. You know, and so that helps you to understand where it is and what's going on. And it's kind of cool just to be able to understand where the planets and stars are at any time. Because we are living here on this earth, everything's moving around us, and the more that we're able to understand how we fit into this big picture, the more effective we can be in life. Now here's the Mayan Oracle, which is like the Mayan calendar, but with some correlation corrections made to them. This here shows us a pattern for the day of energy. Today is the monkey, right in the middle. The kin for today is the monkey. The kin, our next of kin, like family member, our relations, or related to the day. So this one here is the monkey. The monkey's all about playfulness. I like to think of the story of the Lion King, Rafiki. Remember Rafiki, the medicine man? Well, there's the monkey right there. There's the medicine man teaching us about playfulness, magic. The guide for today is the eagle, which is vision. We can see that we are in the position here, the third position, which is about activation or service. And it's the theme of purification. So we've got 13 days in which we follow this particular theme. And then we look at the star as our like-minded energy, the dragon as our challenge for today, and the hidden power is the dog, love, loyalty, the heart. Here we have beauty, shining bright, and here we have birth. The phrase for today is I activate in order to play bonding illusion. I seal the process of magic with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of vision. And today is a galactic activation portal day because we have the synchronicity here between this column here and this column right here. Okay, and remember the first 6 columns are a reflection of the last 6 columns. And the middle pillar here is like that center of everything. Everything revolves around it, moves around that space. If we go over to space weather, our solar wind currently is 338.7 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is currently at a 3. It's in the quiet range. This is a scale that goes up to 9. So as it gets higher and higher, there's more geomagnetic storm activity taking place around us. We have one coronal hole starting to make its way across. When this gets somewhere around here, it could be Earth facing, in which case we'll feel some wind blowing down towards us. M-class flare possibilities at 5% now. It's dropped from yesterday even further, and X-class is only 1. And geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low as well. If you're in the high latitudes, you got a 30% chance you might have something minor. And over here we move to the Jewish calendar. And today is 29 Liar, Omar day 44. Tonight we begin Omar count 45. Click on the link there to tell us a little bit more about this. Daily thought for today is there is an outer world and there is an inner world. As deep as you penetrate, as high as you reach, there is always something beneath, breathing inside. The outer world is made of things. Breathing inside the things are words. Words are the outside. Inside the words are stories. The story is the outside. Inside the story is a thought. Thoughts are the outside. Inside the thoughts is a great light. At the origin of all light is the beginning that cannot be known. The outside we can touch and come to know. The inside we must wait and see, be still, so that it may speak to us, as it did at Sinai, as it does whenever we learn Torah with all our heart and soul. And for a little bit more in-depth study here, the Psalms study here, we got chapters 140 through 150. Some other books here, the Chumash, Tanyan, Ramban. So pick your form of study that you feel comfortable with and work with it. You don't have to do all of these things by any means. All of these are ways in looking at what's going on around us. You take the information you can take, you learn from it. Next time, maybe you add a little bit more to the puzzle. The really interesting thing about life, the cool thing about life, is that it revolves. Life is constantly moving, and because everything's constantly moving around us and it moves in cycles, moments come back to us in time. So as they come back, we have opportunities to relearn or to redo things that we did in the past. Maybe we had a time where we said, wow, I'd like to do something different next time around. Well, that always comes around because circles go around. You've heard the saying, what comes around goes around. Well, we have plenty of opportunities because cycles are constantly moving around us all the time. And when we get in sync with them and when we learn of what's going on, it really helps us to be much more effective with what's going on in life. All right, that gets us started. Let's jump over to our UFO news. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. So let's get over here. First story. This one is from a plane over London, UK, on the 25th of May. Nice good shot there of some kind of object there. Imagine flying in a plane looking out the window. That's exactly what happened here. This UFO sighting is really interesting. A person saw it from a plane over the UK. The UFO can be seen far above the clouds. Some people say it is part of a building. However, no building is that tall. Really? People say that's part of a building? Wow. Okay, so we got a 2-minute video here, seeing where the landmarks are as we look across. Get out of there. Okay, there's our sighting there. Certainly isn't the top of a building, because then if so, that's the world's tallest building. And no, buildings wouldn't be like that where a plane might go past it. Very good capture there. Okay, let's move on from that one to the next sighting. This takes us to Lincolnwood, Illinois, 26th. New interesting video footage of a dark UFO recorded in the daytime sky above Lincolnwood, Illinois, May 26th. The witness said they was chilling on a patio zero gravity chair, observed the fast-moving object in the sky. Could be a bird, moves pretty fast. All right, I think we pulled this one up yesterday, so just another review. All right, moving on from there. This time we have a NASA cams picked up a translucent UFO. Look at this. Something definitely is going on up there. This is a 1-minute and 6-second video. These NASA space cams are certainly catching a lot of interesting objects out there in space. And no, this isn't a building. This isn't swamp gas. It's something quite interesting. Alright, now moving from there, this is a story that we've talked about in the past. It's about this Bucegi Mountains. And this is a place where there's been a find deep inside one of the mountains that has been quite interesting. This is a lengthy article. I'm only going to be able to show you part of it, and I'm going to leave the rest up to you. So the article was originally published on November 30th, 2010 at 11:11 a.m. It was improved, corrected, and republished. In the summer of 2003, in an unexplored area, the Bucegi Mountains, a team of Zero Department, which is a top-secret section of the Romanian Intelligence Service, otherwise known as SRI, they had made an epochal discovery which could completely change mankind's destiny. The United States of America exercised colossal diplomatic pressure on the Romanian government, which intended to disclose the finding to the entire world. The implications became far more complex due to the brutal interference of the Order of the Illuminati, which sought to take control of both the location of the discovery and the joint Romanian-American expedition. The expert on strange phenomena and also the leader of the operations for the Roman state, Cesar Brad, is the hero of the shocking events that occurred in the Bucegi Mountains. Okay, here's our location. It says on May 23rd, Caesar was visited by a highly important character. The meeting request came through SRI as a result of the government's intervention. The person was a foreigner but spoke in the Romanian language very well. He was also familiar with the country. The SRI informed Caesar that the visitor was a high-ranking member of a very important Masonic lodge from Italy. He was a noble and a very strong financial influence in Romania. His political influence was also very high, since he was able to penetrate the wall of SRI agents and reach the DZ. Caesar felt high pressure and heavy weight around this person. He was surrounded by a cloud of heavy, unpleasant radiation which concealed his true intentions. For the meeting, Caesar prepared thoroughly, isolating himself in a room and falling into a state of deep meditation to learn more about this person. The SRI helicopter brought this arrogant, tall gentleman wearing a black suit. He had a cane with ivory handle and gold inlay. His face expressed harshness, and his green eyes had a strange effect, radiating unusual coldness. He presented himself as Signor Masani. He was very confident of his power and created the impression of a person who was used to give orders. He was the leader of one of the most important Masonic lodges of Europe, and also one of the most influential Masonic organizations in the world of the Bilderberg Group. Masini was very direct and stated that humans are of two kinds: those who can be manipulated and ruled, and those who can have certain virtues and strong personalities. He said that his group was part of the highest Masonic order and is very interested in the outcome of this discussion. Mr. Masini explained that the Bilderberg Group is not a Masonic lodge, and it means much more than that. He said that the lodges are just facades, and that the real power is much higher than the 33rd level that we hear about. Masani invited Caesar to join the group, letting him understand that he will have many advantages. According to Caesar, Masani was both physically and psychically strong, which contrasted with his age. Unfortunately for him, his power was centered on a huge ego, arrogance, and a sense of superiority over the rest. Masini informed Caesar that he requested him personally, using his political influence because he was impressed by Caesar's psychic powers. A Pentagon satellite used for the geodetic espionage based on bionic technology and shape waves discovered in 2002 a separate unit in a specific area of the Bucegi Mountains. The empty space inside the mountain had no correspondence with the outside and looked like it was a cave from the inside by intelligent beings, but it was definitely not a cave. The satellite scan of the mountain revealed two major energetic blocks. These barriers were made of artificial energy. The first was like an energetic well blocking the access to the tunnel, while the second was shaped like a dome or hemisphere and was located at the opposite end of the tunnel near the center of the mountain. Masini was sure that the inside of the dome they will discover something extremely important. They had deep knowledge about the origin of the discovery and knew about the existence of at least one item located inside the great hemispherical hall. The tunnel and the dome were strangely aligned with the rock formations from the top of the mountain known as Babel and the Sphinx of Bucegi. And there you go. You can see the mountain itself here. Kind of looks like a sphinx from the side, right? You can see the lips here, face, eyes. Okay, so I'm going to jump down here where they began to do drilling. It says they brought the drilling site to an ultra-sophisticated hard rock drilling machine used by the U.S. military. And then they were able to achieve, in the year 2003, penetration of about 60 to 70 meters away from the first energetic barrier. And they reached the first gallery, which looked like a subway tunnel. Its walls were perfectly polished. At the end of the tunnel, there was a massive stone gate, which was protected by an invisible energetic barrier. 3 members of the special intervention team tried to touch the door and immediately died of cardiac arrest. Any object thrown at the barrier immediately turned into fine dust. 2 generals from the Pentagon and the U.S. presidential advisor arrived on the spot. And then this is what they recognized beyond the barrier, which caused the death of 3 people. There was also a solid rock gate. On the tunnel wall just in front of the gate, there was an area of 20 square centimeters on which there was precisely drawn an equilateral triangle pointing up. The square was located between the huge grinding stone gate and the invisible energy barrier. Caesar felt that there was some kind of compatibility between the energetic barrier and himself, something like a mutual sympathy. His hand lightly touched the surface of the energetic barrier, and he felt a tingling on his skin. The shield was completely harmless to him, and he stepped forward, passing right through it. The U.S. officials were absolutely stunned. Caesar estimated the barrier to be no more than an inch thick. He touched a triangle drawing located in the center of the square, and the gigantic stone door silently slid to the left into the wall. The command also canceled the energetic barrier, giving them access to a huge room which was later named the Grand Gallery. Alright, and there's another picture down here. So here's one tunnel right here. There's another one right here. And they entered into here, and look at this big gallery, and here's one more energetic shield they had. And inside they found these huge tables. 2 meters in height, that's 6 feet 6 inches. So someone very large was sitting at these tables. Okay. And then they found some other interesting correlations and inside there where they believed to be devices and areas to travel to other locations of the planet. Alright, and so as you scroll down here, what you'll find is you'll find a video. The video itself is 32 minutes in length. I'm going to leave that for you. But check this out. Read this article. It's very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. And in the video itself, you can see these giants that are there. Where'd they come from? Don't know, but there they are. Alright, here's another story here. This is from Ghostbusters to Conehead. Dan Aykroyd talks about UFOs. A Hollywood actor, Dan Aykroyd, has found it rather more comfortable chasing aliens than ghosts. The former Ghostbuster actor, who had also played as an alien in the Hollywood film Conehead, was caught uncovering his largest and recent UFO scoops while in a liquor store in Attleboro, Bristol County, Massachusetts during an autograph signing. Dan Aykroyd has been working on UFO and alien documentaries lately, this one called Unplugged on UFOs, which is available on Amazon. Dan revealed some of his web sources and literature content that he got in his personal paranormal investigation. You can check websites like MUFON for the latest of his newfound UFO and alien stories, also at thestantonfriedman.com for a book entitled Captured that Dan characterized as one of the most clutching and fascinating cases read. The book was about the world's first documented alien abduction that happened back in New Hampshire, 1961. Okay, and in addition to the story there, we got a video here. I'm going to leave this for you to watch because I'm going to keep moving on. And the very last thing here is earlier this week I read to you an article, and it had to do with alien agenda, was it called, and it had to do with a petition for peace. And so here is the actual PDF. Okay, it says, "We the people of planet Earth call upon all extraterrestrial civilizations to help us end our world, help us rid our world of all weapons of mass destruction and put an end to the madness of war. In return to the service, we, the human race, offer our eternal friendship and pledge to maintain peace throughout the cosmos forevermore." Okay, so this is available for you. It's in the PDF form. It's in today's playlist, and it's also in the UFO links that are available on the front page of our website, firstcontactradio.com. Alright, that's our UFO news. I'll be back momentarily. We're going to continue on. Today we're going to talk about some more Buddhist philosophy. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Alright, let's continue on. this is an article, a link here that was sent from one of our viewers. It's called How We Create Our Reality. How We Create Reality. It's from Waking Times, Al Smith. It's a long article. You can see here. Lots of information. So I'm just going to read a portion of it to get you started, and then, as always, leave the link so you can continue on. Do you wonder why life is a chaotic roller coaster of both positive and negative events? Have you, like most, earnestly tried positive thinking, meditation, or prayer without any tangible beneficial results? Do you stress over your quietly desperate realization that you have little control over your own life? Do you fear that most of us are floating helplessly like plankton on the waves? Don't you wish you had a magical power to change your life and the lives around you for the better? Well, the good news is, you do. After reading this a few times, you'll understand the natural forces that create our individual and collective realities. You'll comprehend that we all have the same ability to use these forces for good or for evil. You'll begin to see that these forces at work everywhere. You'll learn to control, focus, amplify, and correctly use your personal power with ease. You start to reap the rewards you've always sought but never found. It won't require your belief or faith, which comes with practice, and it doesn't even require any real effort on your part. Though faith and making physical steps towards your goals will help you to manifest them faster, it is easier than daydreaming. Your understanding of this knowledge will make you begin to naturally and automatically think in new ways that will make your future as you'd like it to be. It's really not hard at all. Wrap your mind firmly around the concept. See, we each wield enormous power throughout each days of our lives. We control powerful forces of which most of us are totally unaware. Your power can create good or bad future events for yourself, for your friends and your family, and for all humanity. Here's the problem. We unwittingly create positive and negative, life-giving, and even potentially fatal events in the future. Without knowledge of this power, using it like playing Russian roulette with the engine of the universe. And their individual realities and the realities of everyone we think about are the direct results of our control or lack of control, use or abuse of our awesome individual powers. But once we understand our power, we naturally tend to use it for the benefit and for the common good. So seriously examine your power and learn to use it to help yourself and everyone you love become the best originals you can be. All right? That's where I'm going to jump off this article here because I got more to get to. A lot of great information in that article. Lots of great information. You read it, and it kind of confirms a lot of stuff we've been talking about. Because the processes of manifestation, it's not different than what is going on in the world. You know, there's a variety of different interpretations of how it works, but when you get down to it, it's the same principles. Spirit manifests as fire, water, air, which you bring together in form. If you want to affect the world of form, you don't affect the world of form from within the world of form. You go up to the higher realms above it. World of thought, or mind, or ideas, emotions, or actions. And then you bring that down. So that is what we learn, and that's what all of these teachings are saying over and over and over again. There's a very simple process of how we manifest, and if we just learn the steps, then we'll learn how to manifest the things that we want. Part of learning how to manifest what we want is also learning how not to manifest what we don't want. That's why we have to learn how to control our thoughts, especially as the world around us allows us to be so effective with what we're wanting to manifest. If we think of something and it becomes manifest, imagine what would happen if all of your thoughts became manifest, and if you didn't have control of your thoughts. It could be quite messy. So the more that we have control of our thoughts, the more we're able to take what's subconsciously in us and bring it out consciously, the more effective we can be in life. It's just that simple. Nothing more difficult than that. The process we practice over and over. The phrase, as above, so below, ties right in. Okay? So check out the link. Read that story. You'll be glad that you did. Now, over the last couple of Thursdays, we've been talking about the Buddhist philosophies. We've talked about the fourfold path, the eightfold path. I talked about a variety of, let me backtrack here. the Eightfold Path, the various practices, the introductions, and today we're here about Buddhist ethics. Essentially, according to Buddhist teachings, the ethical and moral principles are governed by examining whether a certain action, whether connected to the body or speech, is likely to be harmful to oneself or to others, and thereby avoiding any actions which are likely to be harmful. In Buddhism, there is much talk of a skilled mind. A mind that is skillful avoids actions that are likely to cause suffering or remorse. That's what I was just saying. You have to learn what it is to avoid just as much as we want to learn to manifest what we want. Moral conduct for Buddhists differ according to whether it applies to the laity or the Sangha or clarity. A lay Buddhist should cultivate good conduct by training in what are known as the 5 precepts. These are not like, say, the 10 commandments, which if broken entail punishment by God. The 5 precepts are training rules, which if one were to break any of them, one should be aware of the breach and examine how such a breach may be avoided in the future. The resultant of an action, often referred to as karma, depends on the intention more than the action itself. It entails less feelings of guilt than its Judeo-Christian counterpart. Buddhism places a great emphasis on the mind and its mental anguish, such as remorse, anxiety, guilt, etc., which is to be avoided in order to cultivate a calm and peaceful mind. And these are these 5 precepts. It says to undertake a training to avoid taking the life of beings. The precept applies to all living beings, not just humans. All beings have a right to their lives, and that right should be respected. To undertake the training to avoid taking things not given. This precept goes further than mere stealing. One should avoid taking anything unless one can be sure that it is intended, that it is for you. To understand and undertake the training to avoid sexual misconduct. This precept is often mistranslated or misinterpreted as relating only to sexual misconduct, but it covers any overindulgence in any sexual pleasure such as gluttony, as well as misconduct of a sexual nature. 4. To undertake the training to refrain from false speech, as well as avoiding lying and deceiving. This precept covers slander, as well as speech which is not beneficial to the welfare of others. And 5. To undertake the training is to abstain from substances which cause intoxication and heedlessness. This precept is in a special category as it does not infer any intrinsic evil, say alcohol itself, but indulgence in such a substance could be the cause of breaking the other 4 precepts. These are the basic precepts exacted as a day-to-day training of any lay Buddhist. On special holy days, many Buddhists, especially those following the Theravada tradition, would observe 3 additional precepts, with the strengthening of the 3rd precept to be observing strict celibacy. The additional precepts are to abstain from taking food or at inappropriate times. This means following the tradition of Theravadian monks and not eating from noon one day until sunrise the next. To abstain from dancing, singing, music, and entertainment, as well as refraining from the use of perfumes, ointments, and other items used to adorn or beautify the person. Again, this and the next rule. And to undertake the training to abstain from using high or luxurious beds are rules regularly adopted by members of the Sangha and are followed by the layperson on special occasions. Laypersons follow the Mahayana tradition who have taken a bodhisattva vow will also follow a strictly vegetarian diet. This is not so much an additional precept, but a strengthening of the 1st precept. To undertake the training to avoid taking the life of beings, the eating of meat would be considered a contribution to taking a life, indirect though it may be. The Buddhist clergy, known as the Sangha, are governed by 227 to 253 rules, depending on the school or tradition for males, or bhikkhukas, between 290 and 354 rules, depending on the school or tradition for females, or bhikkhunas. These rules, contained in the Vijnana, or first collection of the Buddhist scriptures, are divided into several groups, each entailing a penalty for their breach, depending on the seriousness of the breach. The first 4 rules for males and the first 8 of the females, known as parajaka, or rules of the defeat, entail expulsion from the order immediately on their breach. The 4 applying both to sexes are sexual intercourse, killing a human being, stealing to the extent that it entails a goal sentence, and claiming miraculous or supernormal powers. The kahunas, additional rules relate to the various physical contacts with males, with one relating to concealing from the order of the defeat or the parajika or another. Before this passing, Buddha instructed the permission was granted for the adornment or adjustment of minor rules should prevailing conditions demand such a change. The interpretation of these rules, however, differs between the Mahayana and the Theravada traditions. The Theravadians, especially those from Thailand, came to observe these rules to the letter and to the law. However, in many cases, the following is more in theory than in actual practice. The Mahayana Sangha interprets the rules not to take food as an inappropriate time as not meaning fasting from noon to sunset, but to refrain from eating between meal times. The fasting rule would be inappropriate from a health angle for the Sangha living in cold climates such as China, Korea, and Japan. One examines the reasons for this rule. It was instituted initially. The conclusion may be reaching that it currently is redundant. It is the practice in the Buddhist time for the monks to go to the village with their bowls to collect food, to avoid disturbing the villagers more than necessary. The Buddha ordered the monks to make the visit once a day in the early morning. This would allow the villagers to be free to conduct their day-to-day affairs without being disturbed by the monks requiring food. Today, of course, people bring food to the monasteries or prepare it on the premises, so the original reason no longer applies. As many of you would be aware, in some Theravadian countries, the monks still go on early morning alms rounds, but this is more a matter of maintaining tradition out of necessity. Also a rule prohibiting the handling of gold and silver. In other words, money is considered by the Mahayana Sangha a handicap, were to be observed strictly in today's world. They interpret this rule as avoiding the accumulation of riches, which leads to greed. Theravadian monks tend to split hairs on these rules. Although monks will not touch coins, many carry credit cards and checkbooks. Let me now deal with the Buddhist attitude to violence and peace. The Buddhist said in the Dharmapada, victory breeds hatred. The defeated live in pain. Happily, the peaceful live, giving up victory and defeat. And hatreds never cease by hatred in this world. Through love alone they cease. This is an eternal law. Okay? So there's a lot more to this here. I'm going to leave the rest. But I think you kind of get the idea. As you can see, there's a lot of strictness that can be followed with this. Or one can simply look at this as a basic philosophy to follow. Now, Buddhism may not be for everybody, because there is some real particular ideas in here that may not coincide with some of your particular beliefs in life, and that's okay. You want to learn from it what you can learn from it, because there's a lot of wisdom here. Jesus spent time studying the works of Buddha, and yet Jesus didn't do everything that the Buddha did, but he did follow these works and he did share these. You can see remnants of Buddhist teaching there, and some of Jesus' teachings also incorporated other philosophies as well. So I think what we want to do is we want to understand that life, there's a lot of beings here on life that have lots of ideas how to move through life and understand things. Some are very strict, some aren't so strict at all. But the whole idea boils down to the basics that we live in a world that is a world of energy. A world of energy that we're moving in on a constant basis, that moves through us, and the more that we understand this energy, the better. We can be as strict with it as we want, or we can be as casual with it as we want. It's up to us. And if we understand the basic concepts of, the principles like from the Kybalion, that there's a cause and effect that takes place with everything we do, and as long as we go forward in life and know that what we put out, we get back to us, if we're willing to accept the responsibility for those things and accept the karma that goes along with it, then we're free to do whatever. That's part of the free will that we all have. No one path is right for everybody. All of these are tools, philosophies, things to learn so that we can move forward. Find what's right for you and then make it work. And what you'll find if you go from philosophy to philosophy and study all of these esoteric sciences and all these various philosophies, they're all pretty much saying the same thing. They all have to do with finding that balance down the middle path. understanding that we can walk to one extreme or the other, or we can find that that middle path is much more balanced. We don't have to go to the extremes. We can apply them when we need to, but it's not necessary all the time. Life's also about having fun. It's not about, part of this philosophy here, undertaking some of these things, is some might consider causing great suffering to themselves. And in some cases that suffering is beneficial, in other cases maybe not. Maybe our job is to have fun with life a little bit more. Maybe to not be so tied down to some of these things. We all have to examine for our own lives what's going to work best for us, what we need to do, and then take that information forward. I always like to remember we all live a variety of lifetimes. We live a lifetime, we pass the veil, we die, and we come back in another lifetime. And oftentimes we come back to relearn something, maybe the opposite of what we learned before. Some of the examples I gave in the past is, during the times when there was slavery around here on this planet. Maybe that there was a situation that maybe some of those slave lords from that time, maybe they later on went to become slaves when they came back in their next incarnation. Or maybe those who were slaves in the first one came back as slave lords. Maybe people of one race came back as the color of another race. Blacks may have come back as whites, whites as blacks, maybe as Hispanics, maybe as Native Americans, Eastern Indians. It's just, we go through all of these different opportunities because we learn from being part of all of these things. And so when we just look at it that way and don't tie ourselves down to any one specific thing we have to do, we find that life is much more fluid. Much more fluid. Okay? So, moving on. This is an article here from Michelle Welling in 5D. It says all about the Akashic records and the Noosphere. The term Akashic record is used for the creator's account of everything that has occurred in the past, present, and future history of creation. The record consists of energetic light patterns that are turned into a particular vibrational frequency unique to its contents. Ultimately, the code is based upon the frequency of love. Knowledge about the ability to access your personal Akashic records can reveal the answers to who you really are. There are various levels and kinds of Akashic records created in order to be able to categorize and file such records. For example, a person's record of a particular lifetime can be in the form of a movie, holographic images with the feelings and energies of events and emotions, so that they may be reviewed later on as a learning tool. A planet's record might include the experience of every being on it as it travels through the solar system. Akasha is the actual energy signature held within the ether. Aka, aka, means space, storage place, or ether, and means sky, hidden, or secret. A human's Akashic record is a holographic energy pattern stored within our DNA. The DNA is present within the nucleus of the cells in the body. The DNA pattern is repeated for every cycle, every cell in the body, so your Akashic records can be accessed through a single cell in your body. Because of their holographic nature, the layers of the Akashic record can be imagined as a set of Russian dolls nesting one within another within another. For an individual, the Akashic record for a human lifetime incarnation could have the following information stored in it: a record of an individual cell in the human body, a record of a group of cells that make up the human body, and experiences that are imprinted in them. A soul's record could have the experiences listed above for an incarnation, plus a record of all the incarnation has experienced. Furthermore, a monad could have a high level of conglomerate experiences, including the records of the soul and the individual, plus a record of the monad and all the soul has experienced, or the access to the records of the creator in this round of creation. A person could also have access to universal records such as the planet's records from a planet's perspective. A record of the particular cell matter on that planet, a record of all the cells that make up the planet, all the beings that have been on the planet, including humanoid, plant, mammal, etc. A record of the plant's sentient beings, the sentient beings' connection to the solar system, the part of the galaxy, the universe, the cosmos. A lot of information can be gained. Okay? And then Hall of Records, or the Central Akashic Records, has been described by those who could communicate with beings on the other side as a huge building with Greek-style columns and marble steps. inside the library seems to be infinite. And I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. We've got a couple nice videos here for you to watch in regards to this. The Noosphere is where a planet's Akashic records are kept at the core of a cell of a planet. The Noosphere is an energy field of human thought that exists around the exterior of a planet. It was introduced by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin in his book Cosmogenesis. It is like a living, growing record of the collective mind experience that all humans are connected. It contains all positive and negative thoughts and emotions. And if we scroll down to the end, it says the Akashic records are similar to the DNA code of a human that is a record of the experience, emotions, and form. As the planet shifts to a higher vibration, dense energies will be washed away and humanity's dormant DNA will be activated. We will once again remember how to access our Akashic records, and we'll remember how our thoughts affect humanity as a whole. We will live by universal law, and we'll be able to see for ourselves through the Akasha that we are connected to one creator that is part of everything, and that everything, including the planet we live on. This will completely change the way we treat each other, and this planet as a collective consciousness in the Noosphere is raised to new levels of understanding and knowledge. So, a lot more information there, but, you know, I don't know if you've had an experience, but there's opportunities and there's teachers out there that show you how to go in a meditative state to access the Akashic records. And it's just another way we learn about ourselves, because there is so much to learn about who we are, not only as individuals, but who we are connected to others, that, you know, we could go on and on and on and always be learning, which is amazing, because the more we learn, the more we evolve. So check out this article, read the rest of it, and begin to understand more about yourself. And as you'll keep understanding, it's about going inside. Now, these articles I like to read here are from this site called In5D. A lot of great articles. You hear them about every day. Tonight I'm going to be a guest on their radio show, In5D Radio. I've got a link to the website, so you can go follow that link and check it out. It's 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll put the link to the show up tomorrow after it's done. So if you get a chance, check it out. We're going to have a nice, good conversation tonight, Michelle and I. All right, let's move on for our message for today. This is a message from the angels.
Oh my God, look.
We're going to get this message after we get the commercial. And there we go.
By Ann Albers, May 24, 2014.
My dear friends, we love you so very much. When you know who you really are, you can simply enjoy the rest of your life as an adventure. You are an eternal soul walking around in a temporary body, and yet your physical life receives so much attention. You believe it controls you. You fear that it will not look as you wish. You identify with your bank accounts, your bodies, your situations in life, the people around you, and yet, dear ones, the greatest identification you can make is that with love. For indeed you are fashioned in the image and likeness of God, and that truth alone will transform your existence. Are you tired of not having enough? Then, dear ones, look into your spirit and see where you are depriving yourself of your own love. Are you wanting to feel better in your body? Then look inside your heart and see where you can feel better in your soul. Are you desiring companionship? How can you be a better friend to yourself and allow others closer to the real you? Always and forever we encourage you to look at your material world as a mirror, and then to ask yourself, what can I change inside of me first, in order to shift my outer reality? You are not the body. You are not the thoughts. You are not the circumstances around you. You are nothing less than a being created from the very heart of God, a being fashioned of love, created uniquely and beautifully from this love. Embrace the fact that you are a soul. Embrace the fact that you came to learn that you are nothing less than love. Embrace the fact that at every moment in time, whether awkward or graceful, you are attempting to create a more loving reality. And from that perspective, by all means shape your outer world as you wish. Decorate your homes. Choose cars you like. Preen, primp, and take care of your bodies. Your spirit can, if you like, create a wonderful adventure here while upon the earth, as long as you remember, you are spirit first, and from that reality, all else will follow. God bless you. We love you so very much. The angels.
Right, another nice message. You know, by now, I'm sure that you see from message to message, from article to article, it's just repeating the same thing over and over. A repetitive story that is told in so many different versions. And that's what's awesome about it, that we have so much variety to be able to describe something. And it just goes to show how big the mind of God is, that we can have that many different ways to understand. And we learn from it and we grow from it, because we're all individuals down here growing and learning and evolving. And the more we learn about ourselves, the more we learn about others. The more we learn about others, the more we learn about ourselves as a collective race, as a society. It's really an awesome thing, don't you agree? I just find it fascinating that I see all these connections from one philosophy to the next. So that's one of the beautiful things about life. And that brings us to our meditation for today. Let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. And keep breathing in and out slowly. Inhale and exhale. Contemplate the words of this affirmation. I am open to all of the good health, love, and abundance the universe has to offer me. I am open to all of the good health, love, and abundance the universe has to offer me. Just imagine the universe pouring all its abundance towards you. Imagine the words of Jesus Christ, who said, "Ask and ye shall receive." And understand the simplicity of that message, that upon the asking, the door is opened. And because the laws of the universe are so specific, upon the asking, that which you ask for is already available. And all we have to do is get out of the way and learn to accept that which we've asked for. So imagine yourself standing in a house. The door is closed. And then you take and you open the door, and as you open the door, abundance just pours in through that door. And as this abundance manifests in your life, it manifests in a variety of ways. For abundance is much bigger than money. Abundance is much bigger than personal objects or private things. Abundance is all inclusive of everything and can take any form necessary. So just imagine the abundance pouring into your life to fill whatever need it is you have. And as that abundance pours into your life, you find that all of your needs are met instantaneously. And as this abundance pours into your life, the only thing that's going to stop it is you getting in your own way. So you imagine yourself stepping aside so this abundance can flow. And as you are filled with this abundance, you are filled with the abundance of intelligence, with wisdom, with confidence, with faith, with resources, with creative ideas, with love. Everything you can imagine, the abundance of the universe pours itself upon you. And imagine yourself standing under a shower. And as this shower pours down upon you, just imagine this abundance filling your being, your soul, with everything you could possibly need or want. And with this abundance, we use our minds. We use our minds to be able to create, to share, to help, to heal. And we understand that the more we're able to focus our mind to the things we want, the more we're able to stay away from the things we don't want and avoid saying the things that will hurt us or harm us, or do the things that will take us off our path. the more we find this abundance just pours into our lives. So as you go forth today, just imagine abundance pouring into your life. See the places where abundance is flowing in all ways, in all forms. And begin to understand what abundance truly is. And that it exists right now, right here in your life. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. So imagine yourself going on that journey today, walking through life, just observing the abundance around you. And as you observe this, to feel the appreciation for all that you are receiving. And the appreciation for all that you have received. And the appreciation for all that you shall receive. And just let yourself go through and observe the abundance of life. So let our subconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that you take the time to watch the show each and every day. I appreciate that you take the time to send emails, to make comments, to send me articles. We're all in this together. And that's the beauty of life, that we're all here together. No one is doing it on their own. We're one great big team, and the more we work together, the better it is for all of us. Check out In5D Radio tonight, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The links at firstcontactradio.com take you right to their page at Blog Talk Radio. Have an awesome day. Keep loving each other. I love you. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Be safe. Have fun. Peace. I'm out of here.